This just in, we start with breaking news. The suspect wanted for killing a Minnesota state rep and her husband and shooting another lawmaker is in custody.
Hey guys, it's Chad. I'm in Las Vegas. I am wondering what is going on with the world. It's crazy. I'll be heading to LA this weekend. Hopefully, things like riots will have been quelled. They will have died down a little bit. Over 5 million people participated across 2,000 U.S. cities, plus U.S. territories, and even international demonstrations, making it one of the largest single-day protests across the world, really, in certainly in U.S. history. This was the No Kings protest. It must have worked because we still don't have any kings. These protests actually coincided with Donald Trump's 79th birthday, as well as the Army's 250th anniversary parade in Washington, D.C. There's been a lot about this, man. There's no way that I saw some people saying that Donald Trump, there's no way he won the election. When you had 5 million people show up for protests, you never saw that many people show up to protest when Joe Biden was in office. No, that's because we have jobs. We have other things to do. These people are unhinged. They love to take to the streets. They love to get violent. They love to get crazy. They love to put their masks on and go out there. Apparently, they've got an affinity for getting sprayed by pepper and tear gas and things like that. So pepper spray, I don't know. Maybe it's an addiction, but it's weird to me. And the last time I checked, Donald Trump didn't have to beat 5 million people. He got 80 million votes. So it's a bad comparison. Obviously, the media was calling this mostly peaceful. I think we can look at this and see from these clips that we're not looking at when they're throwing tear gas in the middle of a crowd. That's not mostly peaceful. When you're waving Mexican flags, Russian flags, Palestinian flags, this is insanity, folks. Again, I'm all for people's right to peaceful protest. This is not peaceful protest. This is paid agitators, in my opinion. Metro areas like San Francisco, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, New York City, and Seattle. There were Seattle, Portland, and Los Angeles were all deemed riots. Los Angeles enforced an 8 p.m. curfew. And I love what the San Francisco Chronicle says. It says that police used less lethal tools like tear gas and flashbangs and pepper balls and mounted units to disperse crowds in downtown areas. That's not peaceful. When you say something is less than lethal, that doesn't mean peaceful. Portland declared a riot near the ICE facility with multiple arrests late Saturday evening. Denver saw a separate nighttime anti-ICE protest escalate after a peaceful daytime march. Peaceful, according to Axios. Police used pepper balls. Smoke resulted in 36 arrests for obstruction, failing to obey orders, and throwing projectiles. Again, the media is not your friend. They're lying to you when they say that this is peaceful or even mostly peaceful. Salt Lake City, the very home of the Mormon Church, right? They had roughly 10,000 protesters. They had a volunteer peacekeeper shot at a man with a rifle, inadvertently killing an innocent bystander, 39-year-old fashion designer. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name, Arthur Falasa Alu. That's called a murder charge in the middle of a mostly peaceful. That's not a peacekeeper. San Francisco and Culpeper, Virginia, there were reported vehicle ramming incidents targeting protesters. In L.A., we saw a lady get run over. That happened in numerous cases. Let's play this clip right here. Don't stand in front of an automobile, people. Here we go. And no, you don't need your legs. Just run right over her and just take off, and there she's going to scream in the road. This is a FAFO moment. You F around, you're going to find out. This is the insanity, folks, of the world in which we're living. The National Guard and U.S. Marines were deployed in Los Angeles per Trump's orders, with over 500 arrests reported. The Texas Capitol in Austin was evacuated after credible threats tied to the protest. One suspect was arrested. Now, they're going to tell you that this No Kings protest and the riots Let's call them what they are, folks. They're riots. If you're blocking traffic, if you're posting up posters like this, this is Jonathan Cho. Look at these flyers around Seattle's Cal Anderson Park during the No Kings protest. These are actual like scopes on J.D. Vance's face as well as on Donald Trump. These are basically wanted dead or alive posters on the president and the vice president. These are not peaceful protests, folks. You can't call this peaceful. I don't care how big your crowd got. This proves the insanity of our nation, the unhinged nature, the mental illness that's out there. David Medina, producer David, obviously he was there in Portland. He was able to post about these flyers being posted around Portland that are doxing ICE agents. Flyers that were exposing their identities as well as their locations. This was in Portland, Oregon, folks. Unhinged, absolutely unhinged. This is not what you call mostly peaceful. When you're talking about dead cops, when a sign says "We buy pig heads, call 1-800-DEAD-COP." This is a sad world we're living in, folks. This is a sad state of events. And what you wind up with is cops who don't want to protect people. You have law enforcement that does not want to enter into those situations because they're going to get ambushed. I mean, we are seeing record numbers of ambushes on law enforcement happen annually. Take a look at this clip right here. I mean, this guy decided to mess around, and yeah, it doesn't end well for him. Again, they're looking for a martyr here. They always want a martyr. And the news media is going to tell you that the significant incidents are always going to include police crowd control tactics in major cities, or something of that nature. And they're going to try to polarize people like you and me, who are going to call these things riots and say that we are increasing the violent rhetoric. We're not increasing the violent rhetoric, folks. This is violent. This is violent. And then you move over to what happened in Minnesota last week. Let's before we go over to that, let's go to this Cam Higby. I mean, Cam Higby, who has been with PragerU and a number of other things. He says Antifa just jumped me. I was refusing to intervene with the riot tonight. Militant Tyler Hahn and his lackeys jumped me, dealing several blows to my head. I was able to deploy pepper spray and repel them, regaining the belongings they knocked out of my pockets. Let's play this clip right here.
Let him go. Let him go. Let him go. Let him go. No. Let him go. Let him go.
Mostly peaceful, folks. Mostly peaceful. Well, it leads to things like this, that we still don't know how to interpret the murder, the assassinations of these Minnesota lawmakers just last week. When you have this level of violent rhetoric, and then you're not going to call it what it is, you're going to call it mostly peaceful or something of that nature, and you're going to change the language of what's happening in our world. What happens when real violence breaks out? Vance Luther Belter, he's been formally charged. They finally did find him. Bail set, $5 million. What happened? Early hours, June 14th, 2025, he posed as a police officer, which again is betraying trust of our law enforcement officers. You're weaponizing trust in that case. He went to two separate suburban homes in Minnesota, first in Champlain and then in Brooklyn Park. House Speaker Melissa Hortman, who had just earlier sided with House Republicans in Minnesota on a bill to repeal various tax incentives for illegals. He shot and killed both her and her husband, Mark, tragically at their residence and their family dog. Then went to the home of State Senator John Hoffman and his wife, Yvette. They were shot. They survived with extreme injuries and are recovering. They both described themselves as lucky to be alive. Here you see some of the images with the frightening mask. I mean, this is something out of a Purge movie. It's a horror story. He went into the woods. 57-year-old CBS describes him as a Trump supporter and an evangelical preacher and an ex-security contractor. Was arrested on June 15th after Minnesota's largest manhunt. Again, to call him a Trump supporter, they're basing that off of what his. If you see the video of his very strange ex-roommate who says that he, and I'm quoting, he said he hated Jim Biden, and he mispronounced a number of different phrases. Did not seem, he seemed like a lackey, is what he seemed like, somebody that was trying to come up with a story. The guy seemed a little mentally unwell himself, the roommate I'm talking about. And he said that he was a Trump supporter. This is the guy here. Let's play this clip right here.
Well, everyone's calling him a Democrat. He's not a Democrat. He would be offended if people called him a Democrat. So, but he, because of this board thing he was on for Governor Walz, it wasn't to serve. He was just serving the community. But he, I can't believe a political issue would cause him to do such a thing.
Did he ever bring up the senator or the representative who were targeted?
Like I was saying, no, he never talked about those people. I didn't know those people. I didn't recognize their names.
Any politicians he mentioned?
Well, he mentioned Nancy Pelosi. He didn't like Jim Walz.
Tim Walz?
Didn't like Jim Biden. But
Tim Walz? What would you say?
Yeah, he didn't like Jim Walz.
Well, I mean,
This is a weird clip for a lot of reasons. This is a strangely edited clip, but this guy. I mean, you're not going to trust this guy around your children or your belongings, and they're taking him at face value of what he says about his former roommate. Now, apparently, from what I understand, Vance Belter had left his wife and was now living with this guy. I'm not going to make an accusation there, but I'm just looking at some things and seeing an interesting trend here. Belter had a wife and family, but yet he's supposedly living with this guy. And the roommate here in this clip, he starts to cry after reading supposed texts. Regardless of whether the guy, and he was appointed by Tim Walz to a board, to a position in the state of Minnesota. They said he was a registered Republican. I would remind you that Minnesota does not register according to political parties. So unless he had somehow registered with a political party in other states, then that wouldn't make sense to make that accusation. And the senator that he killed, the House Speaker, Melissa Hortman, had just sided with the Republicans. Why would he go and murder them? And they said that there was 70 liberal or Democrat people that were on his kill list. Where's the manifesto? Why is it that we never see the manifesto released? We saw it in the Covenant school shooting. There's no manifesto that was released. Even what was released was redacted. Why is it when these insane people, the people who take to X and they take to social media and you start accusing these people of being affiliated with a certain political party or a supporter of a certain candidate, they're crazed people. They're crazed, insane, mentally ill people, regardless of what their political motivations might have been. I'm pretty passionate politically. I've never been motivated by that to go out and want to harm someone physically. These are mentally ill people. But why don't they release the manifesto? Why don't we read it for ourselves? Why do we need CBS News or anybody else trying to interpret for us, to say that he's a Trump supporter, that he's an evangelical preacher, that he's all of these, an ex-security contractor? I don't trust the media. You don't trust the media. We shouldn't trust the media. They've never told us the truth. They did. I mean, the kid that took the shot at Donald Trump, they killed Corey Campanatory and Butler, Pennsylvania, on that assassination attempt. I mean, they had his body washed off the roof, and his remains were, incinerated within hours, within days, with no information. We still don't know so much about the guy in the golf course situation, the Ryan Ruth, or whatever his name was. We don't know about these things. Why do they keep it from the public? Authorities recovered a vehicle that says it was outfitted with police-style lights, a latex mask, 3 AK-style rifles, a 9mm handgun, a manifesto. Where is it? And a hit list of about 70 liberal or Democratic figures, including abortion providers and political leaders. These are being treated as politically motivated, with investigators exploring ties to an extremist network, potential anti-abortion motivations, and a broader conspiracy affiliation. That's according to the Daily Beast. If you know anything about the Daily Beast, we're not going to trust that. We're not going to trust that. Will we get to the bottom of it? We don't know. This is horrible. It must be condemned. We do condemn it. One of the Krasenstein brothers came out and said, "Why aren't MAGA condemning this?" We condemn it wholeheartedly. Any acts of violence, particularly when it's political violence, motivations like that, we condemn it wholeheartedly. Because, again, we're not the people who rush to violence. We're not the ones. You just saw what was happening in the streets of Portland, Seattle, and L.A. and across the country. A person was shot and killed in Salt Lake City, Utah. This is not the right. This is not. You say, well, January 6th. Again, you can't point to a single person that was killed at the hands of a MAGA supporter on January 6th. You can't. Don't say police officers. Sicknick died the following day of natural causes. You can't point to a single act of violence that's been done by MAGA. Don't start pointing to Charlottesville or anything else. You can't do that. Not and be intelligently and critically honest. You can't do that. The left is the party of violence. They are the ones who take to the streets. They are the one. Look at what they did with Cam Higby right there. He has to pepper spray guys off of himself. So yes, we condemn it wholeheartedly because we're not the ones who do it. And I think it's going to come out, and you're going to find out, if they will let the information out, you're going to find out that this guy, this Vance Luther Belter, was a crazed individual, regardless of what weird machinations were going on in his head, regardless of what demons were bouncing around in his mind. This guy wasn't a Trump supporter. I'm right down here. I'm right down the road from the Vegas shooting of a number of years ago. You still don't have the information on that, do you? You don't. So many things, so many questions. Folks, we condemn it wholeheartedly. We need to pray for our country once again. Charge has been filed. He's facing 2 counts of second-degree murder and 2 counts of second-degree attempted murder. I don't understand why that's not first-degree murder. Obviously, he had motive. Obviously, he had intent. He'd planned it out. So the prosecutor has announced intention to upgrade the charges to first-degree murder, which could carry life without parole, and I certainly hope that that's what they do. So we'll find out if this was a bigger part of some extremist group. We'll find out if he acted alone. Will we find out? We don't know. Tim Walz, or as the roommate said, Jim Walz, has labeled the shootings as targeted political violence and condemned them, emphasizing they cannot be the norm. Well, Tim, maybe shut the F up with some of your rhetoric. The rest of you guys who have called for violence, you and your ilk are completely and totally responsible. All right, guys, stay away from riots. Stay away, stay protected, keep your head on a swivel. Be reminded that the world you're living in is dangerous. You have lived for too long with an overblown sense of security that's there. I love you guys. Thanks for hanging with us. We'll be back with more. We love you. God bless you. We'll talk to you next time.